here because you're looking for the best of the best of the best, sir.
Oh, that's what the Giants may be looking for right now at the tight end position, because Darren Waller has officially retired. This is Tennessee Giants Straight Talk, powered by my Big Blue LLC. Want to talk about Darren Waller's retirement? Want to talk about it? Not the wedding. Want to talk about the salary cap? Want to talk about I'm going to be waiting again for my plethora of apologies? You know that never happens, because when this Darren Waller thing came down, I got attacked again because I did a video that said,
"You say I have a plethora of piñatas?"
Not that I had a plethora of piñatas. I had a plethora of issues with this trade, all the way from the fact that you're grabbing a tight end from the wrong side, who's on the wrong side of 30, who is was at that point in time 2 seasons removed from his best season, who had hamstring issues. And we always talk about the wonderful, great Ricky Henderson that always says, once those hammies get hurt, Ricky got hammy problems. And the fact that he just seemed like he was not a good fit for the Giants in the offense. And you look at the assets that they gave up, and people are like, well, the Giants robbed the Raiders on that deal. Well, no, not really. Not really if you take a look at it from the grand scheme of things. And then I had to hear, and there was a giant, I don't know if she's a giant, I don't know if she's a giant YouTuber. I know she does NFL stuff. I can't remember who it was. Did a whole video about how it was all, and this was the news, how it was all about the wedding. He got traded because he didn't invite Josh McDaniels to the wedding. No, he got traded because he was on the wrong side of 30. 2 years removed from his best season, had $11 million salary cap hit, which was guaranteed. Had hamstring issues, and of course, he also had some drug issues in the beginning of his career. These were all the massive red flags. Had nothing to do with the wedding. People that said it had to do with the wedding were just morons, because of the fact that they don't know how the NFL works. There are plenty of head coaches that did not get invited to players' weddings. If you're not invited to your quarterback's wedding, I think there would be more of a cause for concern. But when you're not invited to the 31-year-old tight end's wedding, I don't really think that's an issue, people. Someone that's worked in the NFL, worked in the AFL. I just posted a picture of young OBB in the AFL the other day on Twitter. I thought it was kind of funny. I have a thing that came up that said like iPhone 4 memories, and that was one of the memories. But it had nothing to do with the damn wedding. People just need to stop that. Darren Waller also came out with a video. It said that there was he had a health episode. I think he said it was back in November, which kind of put it in perspective for him. Which I found interesting because of the fact that let's listen to Darren Waller. Let's listen to Darren Waller's own words. How about that? We do that.
I almost just lost my life, and I don't know if I really feel like if I would have died that I would have felt great about how my life was going if I died at the time. I'm doing something that I found a lot of joy in and have had amazing moments with, but the passion has slowly been fading. I've, made the decision that I'll be retiring from the NFL. There's eternally grateful for the game of football. I wouldn't be able to have this conversation or to think things through or be self-reflective if it wasn't for an opportunity to save my life and go to rehab, which the NFL offered me. They also gave me an opportunity to, reestablish myself, to, come back into the world and do something productive, provide an example, be a leader, be a difference maker, in my craft, but also just in the day-to-day wherever I go. I mean, all the teams I played for, Baltimore taking a chance on me with all the red flags.
He's going to talk about the red flags and everything else. And he's a very eloquent man in reference to what he's talking about. So we wish him well in his retirement. I know people usually get mad at me when I wish people well, but evidently he had an episode early last November that paramedics were called to his North Jersey apartment because he had trouble breathing. Now, we don't know what the situation was, but of course, Waller had drug and alcohol problems going back to 2017. He says it was a very scary situation. I ended up going to the hospital for 3.5 days, couldn't stand up, use the bathroom, or feed myself. It was an experience that would sober somebody up and make them think at least. And I said all because I got back into my daily life, and it was pretty clear I almost lost my life. I don't know if how I really feel. I would have felt great about my life going if I had died at the time. We don't know exactly what happened. We don't know what was related to I'm not going to guess what happened to this. I'm not going to guess. I'm not going to guess about it. He's evidently said Waller began to feel feverish and he was experiencing a third bout of COVID-19. He was shaking uncontrollably and losing consciousness in his room. I kept nodding. I couldn't breathe, so I ended up calling 911. I think I'm talking clearly on the phone, but it couldn't make out much what I was saying. As he waited for the first responders to arrive on the couch, they supplied oxygen. Waller said he stumbled to the couch. I was there breathing deeply in between my breaths. I was yelling help, and all of a sudden, so maybe I could wake up the neighbors. I didn't know how long that was. It felt like forever. Now he's saying this is one of the incidents that led him to moving forward. He says it was kind of similar to my overdose, like the power plug being pulled out and I couldn't breathe anymore. You know, that's a pretty scary situation. I mean, that's a pretty scary situation for anybody. And like I said, I'm not going to ever question anyone if he's using that for the reason to retire, because of the fact that you never know what's in someone else's mind. But like I said, you know, he feels like he needs to walk away. And from a football perspective, he's hopefully he saved his money. Hopefully he's got his cash. Hopefully he can, you know, walk away comfortably, because if he's going to try to rely on a music career, he's probably going to be back in the NFL in a year or so. Do I think there's a potential for him to come back and maybe with another team later in the season, pull a Gronk? There's always that possibility, because I never thought the Giants situation was the perfect situation for him. And I never thought that it made much sense. And I love it, because we have to get weapons for Daniel Jones. We got a weapon for Daniel Jones. All right, let's see. We had Evan Ingram at one point. We had Saquon Barkley at one point. We went out and got Golden Tate at one point out. We went out and got the smooth sounds of Kenny G. We went out and drafted Kadarius Toney. We went out and got Wan'Dale Robinson. We went out and got Darren Waller. We went out and got Paris Campbell. And we're still waiting, because it's everyone else's fault but Daniel Jones. Now, if Darren Waller would have came out and said, I'm retiring because Daniel Jones almost got me decapitated in a preseason game because against the Carolina Panthers, because he didn't see the over-the-top safety and threw me into contact, I would get that. Because like I said, there was that. I was at that preseason game. I was sitting there with Big L, and we watched that play. And Waller was going across the field, and I even said to Big L at the time, I hope to God, and it was the only series Daniel Jones played in, and I said, I hope to God that Daniel Jones does not throw the ball to Darren Waller, because you could see the over the top player coming at Waller, and as sure as shit, as sure as the sun rises, Daniel Jones throws him the ball in a preseason game and almost gets a star tight end decapitated. That to me should have been a red flag immediately. I think the biggest issue right now we got to look at is the salary cap. I keep seeing these misconceptions from Giant YouTube, for Giant Twitters. Hell, some of the Giant fucking beat writers. The Giants right now with the Waller retirement are going to save almost $11 million. I think it's like a $3 million dead cap hit, but it only puts their cap space right now with the rule of 51. Now, people, you got to remember the rule of 51 is an important factor. It puts it right now at $10 million. And you're like, okay, that's pretty good. That also increases our dead cap number to about 21, but it puts us at $10 million in available cap space. And you're like, well, Tim, that's great. But you have to look at the factor. You have to look at the caveat. I know we don't like to look at the caveat. The caveat is with the rule of 51. Now, anyone that's watched this channel understands the fact that the rule of 51 expires the moment camp breaks. And that's after that final preseason game. So taking a look at our current contracts, our current contract liabilities with the rule of 51 and moving that over, we take a look at the rollover cap space, adjusted cap space. You take a look at the active roster. You take a look at you have the injury. I think Brightwell's on the injury reserve. You look at the dead cap money as well. You also got to look at the practice squad players, and you factor that in. Even with the Darren Waller retirement fund, I always like to call it's the Darren Waller retirement fund. You take a look at all of that, and then you minus the rule of 51. You are still going to be potentially anywhere without Joe Shaden's $10 million of operational cap space. You are still going to be anywhere between negative 20 and negative $23 million. Now, if you take a look at the rule of 51, you're like, well, the Giants the Giants are only ninth in the cap space, and they're only like 22nd in rankings reference to cap space with the rule of 51. Yes, but the rule of 51 expires. It goes away. it leaves. Do people not remember that? People do not factor that in. That number will disappear at the end when camp breaks. So everyone's like, well, we got to go sign this guy. We got to go sign this guy. You have like $290 million, I think it is, in total contract, something like that. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. But you got, let's say it's $280 million or $285 million in total contract values with the rule of 51. So remember, kiddies, with the rule of 51, you have to look at, and don't forget, all that, you're only counting a select portion of your rookie pool because of the fact that you're only counting the guaranteed money. Those other contracts that will be guaranteed as not guaranteed, but they'll go against the cap space as soon as those 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks make the team. Those numbers then become part of the salary cap. So that allocated money that you had before is still going to dwindle down. So even with Waller moving on, this team is still in cap purgatory. I'm sorry. You may save 11. You may be saving 11, and you're really not really saving 11 because you're also taking about a $3 million dead cap hit. So at the end of the day, you tabulate that all in with your dead cap space and everything else. You take a look at it. You're without Joe Shane's $10 million of operational cap space, which we ran into again 3 years ago. We couldn't even, the last couple games of the season, we couldn't even field a 53-man roster because we didn't have money. Last year, we traded away
King of the almost sack.
Not because we wanted to get rid of him. It was because we needed the money to sign a quarterback. That's why I call bullshit on Joe Shane when he was like, we gave him the option to say no in reference to going to Seattle. We gave him that option. No, you didn't, because you needed the money to sign a quarterback because you didn't have enough money in salary cap space to bring in another quarterback. That's why he was traded. Can we just be freaking honest for a moment? If you make a mistake, I make mistakes all the time, and I always tell people I make mistakes.
Make the bad man stop.
No, I won't stop. I make mistakes all the time. Everyone makes mistakes. You make mistakes, you own up to it. You don't sit there and say, well, we gave him the option. No, you needed the money. You don't get rid of Leonard Williams in another contract last year. You can't bring in another quarterback. I told you guys, the blatant, honest clock on this channel has ticked midnight. Before we were at 11, it's like the nuclear countdown clock. We went from 11:59 to midnight because it's time. It's time for just blatant fucking honesty. And if you don't like it, get the fudge out. And I just love it because it's like, well, the Giants significantly saved money, $11.6 million. No, minus the $3 million. Minus, oh my God, it's with the rule of 51. No, please fucking stop. We got a new podcast coming out and a YouTube channel, which is also called You're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat. We explore the paranormal. We explore everything from Bigfoot to alien landings to anything you could possibly think of. To even going into some, when I was in my youth, which was a long time ago, I used to enjoy going into like abandoned houses, not houses, but abandoned places. Like there was a place in New Jersey called the Skillman Institute it was a mental institute. It was actually, I believe it was called the Skillman Mental Institute. I actually went through that entire hospital and was closed. And then years and years ago, there was an old schoolhouse in Lambertville, Pennsylvania that we went into before they demolished it, and there was a lot of eerie shit going on. Like so ever since then, I've always been interested in stuff like that. So it's kind of curious. Like I said, when I was offered the opportunity to do this channel, I kind of jumped at it. So I want to thank the people that are allowing me to do it. So I think the first episode comes out, I think tomorrow, Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm not sure. It's called By Backyard Aliens. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. We've already got 300-something people subscribing, so I want to thank everyone to that. We're going to do a live stream. We haven't done a live stream in a couple Sundays, but we're going to do an evening live stream. I haven't decided on the day yet. We'll figure that out later. And as always, this is Tim Senior Giant Straight Talk. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to ring that bell because you want to know why. That'll be awesome.